How many of you can understand Navajo? Raise your hand. Almost all of you. So I guess I'll mix it up, talk Navajo, as well as give it to you in English. So those of you who do not understand the Navajo language will at least have an idea what sovereignty, the word sovereignty, is all about. And before I do that, though, I'd like to introduce, of course, I introduced my wife, and most of you know her because even though she was always right next to me or behind me, it was always people who pay more attention to me for whatever reason. Some of them, good feeling, they want to take good pictures. Some of them want to call me names and try to get me to stumble or even try to assassinate me. The Nebananta Chilno. I don't know. Don't sit those Ninibe, but a zone. That was shady, hold on. I'm sure many of you understand that as well as Shitta. Mark, Mary boy. Okay, so he knows, those of you who have been in leadership position, you know what I'm talking about. But that's part of sovereignty. Pelakana, sovereignty means superpower. If you have sovereignty, you're the boss. You call the shots. You make the law. You are the only one that can do what needs to be done. Sovereignty. That's it. Pelakana, white people's definition of sovereignty is superpower. That means you have the utmost power to do what you want or what you need. Oholni Allah te bitzili. Ei khansalashin ol ye sovereignty. So, today, I'm supposed to talk about that. So, we're here today to this beautiful place. Bears Ears Shashja. Oh, yeah. You know, I was here. Bears Ears, I don't know exact location. I was here, right at the foot of Bears Ears, 90 years ago. Na hastate na khaida na re is strange be torgen dan here. We used to spend a winter right north of where the present Mexican Water Chapter House is, right up to Mark Mariboy and his family have their grazing area. Their grazing area and our grazing area on the south side touch each other. So his family and our family were very, very close friends. In the wintertime, visit each other, tell a lot of stories, and also, like I said, they come out here to Bears Ears to do hunting. And when I was 7 years old, 90 years ago, Janet, where's Janet? Oh, there she is. Her father, in Navajo, his name was Chloe, Laughing Boy. And in English, James. He was about 7 years older than I was. And he took care of me. Back in those days, talking about sovereignty, I'll tell you what it was. But her father and I and the older people who wanted to come out here at Bears Ears to do some hunting for deer, they brought us out here on a horseback, camped somewhere. I don't really remember where it is, 90 years ago. And they made us take care of the camp, make sure there's coffee there when they come back in the evening, and some fried potatoes. And James used to really know how to make fried bread. And so that's what we were doing while they were out hunting. 2 days, they got their game, packed their meat, head back across the river, back out to our grazing area. So, as I said, I'm familiar with this area, Shashja or Liao, and how the people revered all these mountains that we see. Tsesakai. So it's it. In the Sisnachin, so it's it. To go asleep, the Bensa. These are all sacred mountains. Our people knew the songs of every one of these mountains. Each mountain have a song begin. Also, they were blessed with certain medicine, certain herbs, so that we can use these mountains to gather our food, medicine, and what have you. Put down. Nihiyada Hazlim, way back in 1920s and 30s. But back to sovereignty. Oholni Allah and Sagi Shingol sovereignty. The Nick etche has twee. Not only lady Shanatha. I was just a young boy, and I listened to these old people talking to each other, telling us stories. One time, the federal government wanted to get rid of the treaties with Indian tribes. They created federal law called Indian Reorganization Act. IRA. They want Indian tribes in America who have treaties to get rid of their treaties and come under Secretary of Interior. And the Secretary of Interior will help you create a constitution for your tribe. And the Secretary of Interior will also approve your constitution, and you will report to the Secretary of Interior. Secretary of Interior will be your boss. That was Indian Reorganization Act. A lot of tribes across the United States were told, if you have a treaty, you can get rid of it and accept and come under Indian Reorganization Act. You will then be helped by Secretary of Interior. You will report directly to Secretary of Interior, and he will help you with your Constitution, and any changes you want to make to the Constitution, the Secretary of Interior will help you do that. So Secretary of Interior will be your boss. Nihite no ade nhan timol de early 1930. Well, as I said earlier, how does that fit in with sovereignty? Sovereignty, oholni hulye, da khadana akale khasala all yes sovereignty. You yourself, you are the boss of your own self, your own family, your own people. Working under your own law, nobody else's law. All yes sovereignty. Navajo, at this time, 1930, called sovereignty Nansilet. Nansilet. It's a rainbow. They refer to the Treaty of 1868 as a rainbow symbol. Nihe Nansilet nihi chasala. Ben hitzil. Behini na. Da no yada tilagaba konizim. So, sovereignty is that you are the boss, no one else. And that's what some of these elders were telling the people. So we had to vote. The Navajo Nation has to vote, because in the treaty it says anything that has to do with land or resources, at least 50% or more Navajo adults have to vote yes or no. So they want us to vote. If you want Indian Reorganization Act, you mark down in X. So if you don't want it, if you want to stay with the Treaty of 1868 as your power, as your sovereignty, you mark a 0. This came on in the 30s. And in the 30s, I was just a young kid, and I see what sovereignty really meant. This is the old yogi, son, what sovereignty looks like. I saw it, I experienced it. How did that happen? Like I told you, we used to spend our winter right on the north side of the present day Mexican water. It's exchanged between I poison ivy in the water. It's exchanged between. We bring our sheep there for the winter from 2 or 3 families. Some of the sheep also belong to Teecnospos Chile's second Navajo tribal chairman, Long. He had a trading post, Ship Rock. People sell their sheep to Teecnospos Chile. All of a sudden he had a big corral full of sheep. He doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't have a grazing area, a shiprock area. So he put it in his truck, cattle truck, brings it out to Teecnospos, gave some of it to his brothers, some to his brother, and some to our family. And he tells us, take care of it. Whatever increase you make an earmark, that be yours. So, in that area, we start having at least 1,000 sheep, head of sheep. Can you imagine? Think about it, 1,000 head of sheep. The same thing was going on with cattle. People who had cattle at Red Mesa, Shiprock, and Santosty, all that area, sell their cattle to Teecnospos Chile's trading post at Shiprock. All of a sudden, he has a big corral of these cattle that he purchased. He doesn't have any grazing area out there, so he hauls it out to each one of his brothers and sisters out Teecnospos area. So during the winter, we had at least 500 or 600 cattle in that area, and over 1,000 head of sheep that we were taking care of, as well as maybe 30 horses. We had farms that we plant some things early on. But in the springtime, we take all these animals back out to Teecnospos and go up to the mountain. To me, I was experiencing sovereignty. Why? Because nobody bothered us. There were no policemen at them. There were no jails. There were no federal government at them. They were over a window rock somewhere. We don't even look to window rock to get anything. Zero. We got it all. We got the sheep, cattle, horses, and farm. We didn't need anybody. That was, to me, living a sovereign life. No laws. But then nobody says you can't have 1,000 head of sheep Nobody tells us you can't have no more than 10 or 20 cows. At then, no grazing committee. At then, everybody live according to their own will, their own power. It was up to individual family to have however number of sheep, cattle, and horses and farm areas that they can work. The we love each other. We visit each other. That was, to me, a good example of sovereignty. No one tells us, say, hey, you got too many sheep, you got too many cows, you don't belong here. This is a nunda. We all knew each other. We knew that from that hill to that hill, respect that. That was the law. We don't have to write it down. We don't need policemen. We didn't need a grazing committee man to tell you anything. We had our own. That was, to me, sovereignty. Ultimate super power that you and the holy ones, we all knew it. We all know each other's clan. We all respect each other. That was the most powerful law that we had. Shumasan, Shatash, Shitsile, Shanelish, Shitche, Shita. Those were laws that we respect. But then, nobody drinking, nobody taking marijuana or any kind of thing like that. But then, we all happy. Sovereignty. Yes, son, I saw it and I lived it when I was a young boy. I'm sure Chitta Mark has lived the same way, and many of you other people. That was 1930s. Today, what do we see? Oh, we don't even shake hands. We got too many agencies telling us you can't do that. You can't have that many sheep. You got to reduce it. You can't have that many cows. You got to reduce it. Then he said, no. It hurt us. Sovereignty. We can experience it again one day. there's state law that tells us you can't do that then, even though it's part of our own land. You can't use that water then. That's our water. We know the songs that belong to that water. Toba adi, toba kai, no, what thou, never done deal, so there's never done deal. Ye son, we don't have that now. We lost quite a bit, but we're not going to give up. We look to all of you. You know, I miss that. When I think back, when my wife Juana and I, when we were at home, we talk, and I think back in the 30s, when we didn't even care about what Window Rock was doing because we were getting nothing from Window Rock. And we like it. We don't want Window Rock to interfere with how we manage our livestock, our sheep, cattle, horses, farming. We were happy. People buying nice saddle, people buying wagon, whatever you need. That was 1930. And that was because we had sovereignty. So, I think we can go back to that. Something to really fight for. And like I said, back in the 30s, the federal government wanted to get rid of treaties. They did pretty good. They acquired a few Indian tribes to go under the Secretary of Interior. We didn't. They said, we want to be our own boss. We don't want somebody telling us what to do. We know what we want. We know how we're going to do it. No. And it was good. And they did it. I saw it. But since they took that sovereignty away from us, we are not where we are now. Trying to get some things back. And these people, our leaders, didn't have any education. None of them were lawyers. None of them have a degree or even a high school diploma. But they have it here and here. They know what they are. They go to Washington and they say, you know, here's where you're going to be. They said, now that's not general, so that doesn't belong to you. And they said, no. They say, do you know the song for that mountain? They say, no. We do. We know how it was made. We know what's on that mountain. We know what medicine, what herbs are on that mountain and this other mountain. Do you guys know that? No. Well, it's not yours. It's not made for you. They know. They're not afraid to tell the truth, to tell what they believe. sovereignty. It's a big word. And I look up in the dictionary. You go look at it too. Yes, sovereignty. What does it look like? Well, they say a lot of things about individual sovereignty, tribal sovereignty, state sovereignty, nation sovereignty. But it all goes back to being your own boss, live under the laws that you believe and you created, not somebody else. So, I think we need to revive that. Like I said, I experienced it. I saw it. So many cattle. James, Janet's father, and I were assigned every now and then to run up the cattle that were there. And I should be sit down, hang on to him. And we'd get all those cattle out of the hills, bring them in because they want to brand them and they want to have a cattle drive all the way to Shiprock. And then from Shiprock all the way to Gallup, New Mexico. A big cattle drive. I never went on that because my mother said, no, it's too small. She said, no, and of course James kept saying, no, I'll take care of him. Oh. So I never got on that long cattle drive, but right in that area, it's just changed between their area. Boy, we had all the cattle you want, all the sheep you want, all the horses. No one is going to tell you no. It's all up to you how much you're going to have. It's no longer that way. State has a hand, federal government has a hand, county has a hand, Navajo Nation government have several hands in there. Chapter has. Way back in those days, they didn't even have chapters. There were no chapter houses. It was all family, learning to live as we were created to live, as sovereignty. So, one time, when I took office, I kept thinking about that. All these major companies like Texaco, Conoco, Exxon, all these major energy companies come to Window Rock, write a big check, $500,000 just to look at our land, see if there's any oil on it, exploration. That's all they want to do. So they paid $500,000. When I came in, if they find an oil or other minerals, then they have a right to negotiate with the Navajo Nation government to see how much we want and how much they're going to get. I told the council, let's make some millionaires, Navajo millionaires. I said, all these big companies, Exxon, Conoco, Standard Oil, they're all getting rich off the resources we have. I said, it's easy. Let's make some Navajo millionaires. Yeah, but doesn't need. So I had the Navajo Nation pass a resolution that Navajo organized to explore for oil and gas. We're going to charge you. You do it at your own expense. And then if you find oil, then we'll negotiate with you like we do with Exxon, Texaco, and other major oil companies. You can start drilling, sell those oil and gas for wherever they are needed, and you can be millionaires. So, 4 guys out of Shiprock got together. One of them was Carl Torticini, and then another guy was Bates, and then 2 other guys. So they organized themselves, forget what their company was called. So we let them explore a large area for oil and gas, and lo and behold, they discovered a couple of places where there was oil. Now, they're going to develop it, sell it like all the other oil companies do, and they'd be millionaires. We were all happy. One day, about 2 or 3 years later, they come to us and said that they're trying to get into milking cow business. Milking cow business, what is that? He said, there's a Cortez, there's a farm that had milk cows. They milk these cows and they sell the milk to town. And what we're going to do is sell milk to all Navajo reservation boarding schools. Easy money. We said, all right, go ahead. Well, lo and behold, we discovered that these 4 guys that were to be millionaires came to us, lost the oil company that they developed. They sold it to somebody in Texas, and they got these milk cows, and the federal government boarding schools told them those cows were sick, so the milk was no good, so they couldn't sell milk either. So they just closed the whole thing. We tried to make Navajo millionaires. But I think we did it wrong. We have a millionaire here in our midst right now. And we didn't give him a free rein to do exploration and all that stuff. The millionaire that we're sitting here with is right there. Sit up. Give him a good round of applause there. He did it himself, in his own way. Back in the 30s. It all depends on you. How many cattle you're going to have. How many sheep you're going to have. No one's going to interfere. Eshimolia sovereignty. You have individual sovereignty. You have state sovereignty, tribal sovereignty, nation sovereignty. So, Navajo Nation. We have a lot of good young kids. They need to know what our legend is, what our story is. This 2 million acres of this beautiful land in here bears ears. 2 million acres. Of course, politicians in Utah want this land very badly. They know what they're going to do with it. Make millions and millions of dollars. But fortunately, 5 tribes, you have been blessed to be the guardian of this beautiful land that belonged to us anyway, long before Utah was ever developed. So, it's ours. Go ahead and develop it. I'd like to see next year, if you want to, you could put it in this area, clear it up, build a huge building. So when it rains, you won't be sitting under a tent. You'll be sitting inside a nice arena where you have your conference, have indoor powwow, have indoor dances, and you'll attract all kinds of tourists because this is a beautiful land, beautiful country. So, I challenge you, those of you who are here, you have sovereignty because you have this responsibility here. And I know there are many, many other people who want this land, want to take it away from you. But I trust all of you to be good leaders. Good leaders are elected to do 2 things. One is to save what you've got. Don't let it loose. Hang on to it. That's number 1. Number 2, most important one, is to win back those things that were yours before. Things that belonged to you was taken away from you. You want to win it back for you, for your children, for future generation. That's what leaders are for. Not just to hang on to what you got, but to go win those things that you lost. And we lost a lot. And we don't want to lose any more. So, working together, working with friends that can help to get land back like this one here. 2 million acres. That's a very small amount of all the land they got from us. All the water they took from us. San Juan River, Colorado River. By 1920, 1900, that belonged to us. But they came in, they took every drop of it, and didn't give us 1 penny for it. A didn't. Water rights. We don't want it. Just to keep what was left to us. We want to win it back. That's what our job is. That's the job of the young people. That's tribal sovereignty. You cannot pass through rainbow. We are protected by it. Thank you. Thank you very much. There it is. See?